Now, the second one is the formed elements that constitute 45% of the composition. Now, under the formed elements, we have again two categories. The first category is for the blood cells, and the second category is for the blood platelets. Now, under the blood cells, we have erythrocytes, or you can say RBC, red blood cells. And then we have leukocytes, or you can call them as your beloved WBCs, white blood cells. Now, leukocytes are further of two types. First one is granulocytes. The second one is agranulocytes. Under the granulocytes, we have neutrophils, basophils, and eosinophils. And under the agranulocytes, we have the monocytes, the lymphocytes. Now, as we already know, that the lymphocytes are of two types, B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. These are the two variations in the case of the lymphocyte. So this is the whole entire composition of the blood. The blood contains all of these things that I've mentioned, and this is present as a flow chart right now. Now let us look at the phenomenon of blood clotting, or we can also call it as the blood coagulation. Now, who is like which cell, I mean, which composition or which part of the blood is responsible for blood clotting?
Platelets.
Platelets. Very good. Now, the process through which the blood changes from a liquid and becomes thicker like a gel. This happens in the case of injuries, right? Whenever we get a cut, we get a sort of injury, then the blood does not stop, does not keep on flowing for the whole entire time. It stops after a while. And how does it stop? It stops because of this mechanism, this very special and important mechanism, that is blood clotting. Why is it there? To prevent the excessive loss of blood from the body. Now, a dark reddish brown scum is formed at the site of the cut or the injury. This scum is a clot or a coagulum. Now, this coagulum or a clot, it is made up of network of fine threads that are known as fibrins. Fibrins are fine thread-like structures that form sort of like a mesh, because of which
Why
that
are we starting the chapter from like the middle?
I don't know, maybe I taught it to you like this only. I'm using, yeah, see, I taught it to you like this only. Maybe because I like blood more.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah. So that fibrins, they make a mesh-like structure, and that mesh-like structure further tells us that it is the clot or the coagulum. Just 1 second. Now, in the net-like structure, that is the fibrin, in this only the dead and the formed elements of the blood are trapped. Now, there is an enzyme that is known as thrombin. This is present in the plasma. Always remember the locations. Wherever it is given, remember the locations. So there is thrombin that is present in the plasma of the blood. Okay. Now, thrombin is very responsible for like certain mechanisms of the blood clotting. We'll see how, and you already know how, but okay. Mechanism of blood coagulation. Now, any sort of injury, whether it is a cut or a scratch or anything meaning which leads to bleeding, so this type of injury would lead the blood platelets to release thromboplastin. These thromboplastins are coagulation promoting substances, meaning as soon as the thromboplastins will be released, then the coagulation process will begin. Now, the thromboplastin activates the blood clotting mechanism. Apart from like this is the blood platelets, they release the thromboplastin. Now, apart from that, the tissues also release the tissue thromboplastin. Now, the blood thromboplastin has been released and the tissue thromboplastin has been released. Now,
Thromboplastin is an enzyme.
thromboplastin is a complex.
Oh.
Sort of like, like when many components come together. Okay. And it will be released by both the blood platelets and the tissues. Now, these thromboplastin in turn would come together to form an enzyme complex that is thrombokinase. With the help of thromboplastin, thrombokinase are made. Now, this complex, the formation of thrombokinase, it happens by a series of linked enzymatic reactions. Meaning, this whole process of the formation of thrombokinase is linked, and it is like regulated by enzymes, and it is a cascade process. Cascade, do you understand what is the meaning of cascade?
No.
Waterfall. Have you seen a waterfall?
Yes.
Hmm. So meaning when one after the other, the reactions will start taking place. That is a cascade process. Meaning the formation of one would lead to the formation of other and so on. Okay.
Okay.
Hmm. Now, the inactive protein, which is known as prothrombin, this protein is present in the plasma. Now, let us see what is the whole jazz behind it. So, this prothrombin gets converted into the active protein, that is thrombin, in the presence of thrombokinase. And who made the thrombokinase?
Throw.
Thromboplastins made the thrombokinase. And now this thrombokinase will turn the inactive protein, that was prothrombin, into the active protein, that is thrombin, in the presence of calcium dipositive ions. Now this thrombin converts the fibrinogen in the plasma into fibrin, again in the presence of calcium dipositive ion. Now this fibrin, it would see fibrinogen, thrombin. These are the inactive components. Now, the fibrin, what it does is that it traps the dead and broken formed elements of the blood to form the blood clot or the coagulum. This fibrin is responsible for that particular process. Now, this clot which is formed, it seals the wound and stops the bleeding. And hence we like protect ourselves from the excessive bleed. Now, calcium ions, they play a major role in the whole blood clotting mechanism, because you see that the two major reactions, the conversion reactions, they require the calcium dipositive ion, and because of which this whole process will not take place. Always remember that calcium dipositive ions are extremely responsible. Now, apart from blood clotting, where else calcium ions are needed? I did not.
Muscle.
Hmm. Muscle contraction, right?
Yeah.
Correct. All right. Now we
It's
have
so
talked about
confusing.
what happened.
This whole thing.
It is a confusing thing because many things are being released.
Yeah.
It is a
And the
very
names. Names are confusing.
yeah. But this is something that people love.
No, I don't hate it. I just.
I know it's a little confusing because a lot of terminologies and new names are there. I mean, not new now, but yeah. But what can you do? It's like a cascade mechanism. We saw how the presence of one thing stimulated the presence of another. So blood clotting is clear to you people? Hmm?
Yeah.
Okay, now everyone, do you have your NCRT books beside you?
Yes.
Open your NCRT book, go to the blood clotting part, that portion, read it,
Yeah.
and then like don't read it like read it nicely, mindfully, and then tell me if anything is causing you any difficulty. Everyone. Doubts?
No.
None? So
Yeah.
now we are counting this as finalized for boards. Tick. Blood coagulation? Tick. What about the others? Any doubts? Khadija, Hudeja, tell me. Girls, please respond. Just 1 second. All right. Now let us move forward and talk about the lymph, that is also known as the tissue fluid. Now, the lymph is present in the lymphatic system of our body. It is a colorless fluid. 1 second. Yes. So the lymph is a colorless fluid and it contains lymphocytes. These are the specialized cells that are responsible for the immune response of the body. Now let us look at the functions of lymph. Always remember that lymph is colorless. Now the functions of the lymph, first of all, immune response, then fat absorption. Since the lymph is present in the intestinal villi, in the lacteals. Lacteals are the like the blood vessels of the villi of the intestine. So there lymph is present and lymph is there so that fat can be absorbed through it. Also, it is an important carrier for nutrients and hormones. So it acts like a carrier, it helps in the immune response and it also absorbs fat. These are the functions of the lymph. Now let us talk about the circulatory pathway. Now, you know that the circulatory system is of two types, open and closed. The open circulatory system is found in the arthropods and the mollusks, and the closed circulatory system is found in the annelids and the chordates. Now, can you tell me what is closed and what is open circulatory system?
Think. Wait. In open, there are no blood vessels,
Hmm,
and the organs are bathed in the
very good. Hmm.
blood. And then in closed, we have blood vessels
Yeah,
present.
arteries and veins, meaning the blood is
Yeah.
circulated through the blood vessels. Very good.
Yes.
Now, let's move on forward and talk more about it. So, as you said, the closed system of circulation is more advantageous because it is precisely regulated. Always remember, closed is better than open. Closed
Yes.
circulation system is much, much better and advantageous. Why? Because here, how have I written? Look, it's going like a caterpillar. Yeah. So here the advantages, like the advantage is that since the blood is flowing through the arteries, the veins, the capillaries, meaning the blood vessels, so it is regulated precisely. It will be sent wherever it is needed very precisely. Now, the open is just the opposite. Here, the organs are bathed in the blood. Now, talking about the hearts of the vertebrates, it is muscular and it is ventral, not dorsal. It is ventral and it is muscular, and we already know that the muscles of the heart are known as cardiac muscles, right?
Yes. Yes.
Different or different sections or different organisms under which comes under the vertebrates, they have different chambered hearts. We know that fishes, they have two chambered heart in which they have one auricle and one ventricle. Then there are amphibians and reptiles. They have three-chambered heart which contains one auricle, one one left auricle, one right auricle, and only one ventricle. So in total, two auricles and one ventricle.
Yes.
Now in the mammals and the crocodiles, since crocodile belongs to a reptile, but still there is an exception. As I always say, biology is a science of exceptions. So mammals, they have four-chambered heart wherein two auricles and two ventricles are present. Now, do you remember what type of circulation happened in amphibians and reptiles? The name of the circulation?
Closed.
No, no, no. Like double circulation is there in mammals.
Oh, uh, double.
Double
Double is?
circulation is there in mammals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. They don't have double.
They do have double, but it's a different kind of double.
Incomplete.
Yes, incomplete double circulation. Very good. Now, why is it incomplete?
Because um because the blood from the ventricles and auricle gets mixed. No, from the auricles, the blood gets mixed in the ventricles.
Very
The
good. Yes,
deoxygenated and oxygenated.
correct. Both of them, they get mixed in the ventricle and then mixed blood is pumped out. That is why it is called incomplete double circulation. But in the cases of fishes, it is like the heart will pump out the deoxygenated blood only, and this type of circulation is single circulation. Now the deoxygenated blood will be carried to the lung. Oh, sorry, lungs. Fishes don't have lungs. It would be carried to the gills so that it can be
Yes.
purified or it can be oxygenated, and then it will be supplied to the different parts of the body. So always remember that in the cases of fishes, they have two-chambered heart, and in them the deoxygenated blood is pumped out by the heart, and this phenomena is known as single circulation. Got it?
Yes.
Yes. Is it clear, Kudeja and Khadija?
Yes. Oh,
Girls, are you there in the class or not?
yes, ma'am.
Please respond, okay? Sort of like a revision class is going on, right? It's better for you if you listen and respond and also interact when I ask questions. What about Khadija? Where are you? Are you there in the class? Is your mic not working yet again? Like put it in the chat box if your mic is not working. All right. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe she's not there. All right, so we saw that in the case of fishes, single circulation happens. Now, we have already discussed that in the case of amphibians and reptiles, since they have three-chambered heart, so incomplete double circulation takes place. Always remember, no matter which organism, if a left auricle and a right auricle is there, so the left auricle will receive oxygenated blood from the gills, lungs, or whatever is the respiratory organ. And the right auricle will always receive the deoxygenated blood from the different parts of the body, wherever it is used. Now, in the case of amphibians and reptiles, blood from both the chambers, meaning both the auricles, get mixed in the one ventricle, and then the ventricle pumps out the mixed blood. So this phenomenon is known as incomplete double circulation. But now in the case of mammals, what happens? The blood is pumped without any mixing. There are four chambers, not in just mammals, but also in birds. Okay, the blood is pumped out without any mixing. Four chambers are there, two auricles and two ventricles. Now again, the left auricles, they receive the oxygenated blood from the lungs in our case, and also the right auricle receives the deoxygenated blood from the different parts of the body. Now, since two separate circulatory pathways are present, that is why it is known as double circulation. And another reason is that because because the blood flows through the heart twice. This is also a reason because of which the circulation in the mammals or the four-chambered heart organisms, it is known as double circulation, because the blood will be flowing through the heart twice. Do you people remember how the double circulation happens? Can you explain step by step?
No.
Try, please try. We'll start with body cells. What is collected from the body cells? Try.
Deoxygenated blood.
Correct. The deoxygenated blood is collected from the body cells. Who collects it?
Arteries.
Hmm?
Veins.
Which vein? The name of the vein, do you remember?
Pulmonary.
Hmm? No. Do you people remember vena cava?
Oh, okay.
Everything is slipping out, huh? Okay.
I'm not good at this chapter.
Hmm?
I'm not good at this chapter.
All right. So let's talk about human circulatory system. Human circulatory system has another name, that is blood vascular system. It consists of the following things such as a muscular chambered heart. Blood vessels are there and blood is there obviously. Now the heart that us humans have, we have a mesodermally derived organ. It is derived from the mesodermal layer. Now where is it present? So heart is located in the chest cavity or the thoracic cavity in between the two lungs. It is slightly tilted to the left. Why? There is a reason, because the right lung is a little larger as compared to the left lung. That is why the heart is tilted. Now, if we want to make out the size of the heart roughly, so it is the size of a clenched fist. Now, heart is protected by a double-walled membranous bag or a layer that is known as pericardium. The pericardium is like outer pericardium is there, inner pericardium is there, and in between the outer and the inner, there is pericardial fluid. Why is it there? What is the function of this fluid? Tell me, what is the function of the pericardial fluid?
Um, to avoid friction.
Correct. To avoid friction. Also, since like it like sort of like when the heart beats, it has to contract and relax, right? So
Yes.
easy activity for the easy activity of the heart, the pericardial fluid is also there. Apart from that, it like reduces the friction, protects the heart from any shock, injury. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So just imagine like I am throwing you out of a balcony, okay, and I have tied bean bags all over your body. It's just like that. Now,
What?
if you if you'll fall, will you get hurt?
No.
Because bean bag is there, right?
Yes.
Same way, the pericardial fluid will be acting here, like the stuffings of the bean bag. Got it? Now,
Yes.
our heart has four chambers, as we know, two auricles, two ventricles, right and left, all of them are there. Now, in between like both the left and the right auricle, there is the interatrial septum. or interauricular septum. It is thin and a muscular wall. A septum is sort of like a wall, right, which divides the two chambers. Now, in between the two ventricles, there is the interventricular septum, which is thicker than the atrial septum. Because always remember that the ventricles are thicker as compared to the atria. Now, the atrium and the ventricles of the same side are also separated by a thick fibrous tissue, which is known as atrioventricular septum. Meaning, now we saw that each of um, the chambers are separated, as well as like here also inter atrioventricular septum will be. Separations are everywhere. Now, each of these septa, they have openings, so that the two chambers, like apart from being separated from each other, still they have to be connected. So certain openings are there. Now talking about the openings. So the opening of the right auricle and the right ventricle, it is guarded by a valve. A valve is sort of like a tiny security gate. So it is like guarded by a valve that is formed by three muscular flaps or cusps. Okay, three muscular flaps or cusps. These muscular flaps are known as tricuspid valves because three of them are there. So tricusps, three cusps are there. So tricuspid valves. Now this was for right and like right auricle and right ventricle. Now on the opening of the left auricle and left ventricle, two walls like two cuspids are there, two cusps. So it is bicuspid valve. Bicuspid walls are, they also have another name which is always used to confuse the student. It is mitral or mitral valve. Now, the right ventricle, it would open into the pulmonary artery. The left ventricle opens into the aorta. And these openings, they have semilunar valves present. Now tell me, when the right ventricle will open into the pulmonary artery, where will it lead to? Where will it go? Hmm?
To the different of the body.
No, that's the wrong answer.
To the lungs.
To the lungs. The pulmonary artery will be carrying the deoxygenated blood to the lungs for the purification and the oxygenation. And this aorta will carry the oxygenated blood from the ventricle to the different parts of the body. Now let us look at the functions of valves. So uh, it allows the flow of blood in one direction. So it prevents the backflow of blood in the body. The backflow of blood is prevented with the help of these valves. So the blood can only flow in one direction, meaning from the auricles it would flow to the ventricles. From the ventricles it would either flow into the pulmonary artery if it is the right ventricle, or it will flow into the aorta if it is the left ventricle. Only you like one direction, unidirectional flow will be there. And that is why walls are there, so that the backflow maybe from ventricles to auricle, if that happens, that is prevented with the help of these walls. Now right in front of you, you see the human heart in all its glory and beautiful glossiness. Now the entire heart is made up of cardiac muscles, right? And the, always remember yet again, the walls of the ventricles wall, the normal wall, they are much more thicker as compared to the auricles. Now, a special cardiac musculature is distributed in the entire heart. This is called as the nodal tissue. Nodal tissues are of two types. The first is sinoatrial node, SAN, and atrioventricular node, AVN. Now, this SAN, that is sinoatrial node, it is present at the right upper corner of the right auricle. Not in the center, not in the bottom, but right upper corner. This AVN, that is the atrioventricular node, This is present at the lower left of the right auricle. Now this one is at the lower left. Now this atrioventricular node, it is closer to the atrioventricular septa. It is very close to that wall. Now what they do, like see, from these nodes, there are certain fibers that arises. Okay, these are the AV bundles, and like such as like from the AV node, that is atrioventricular node, AV bundles, these are the fibers that would arise, and they would pass through the atrioventricular septa and emerge at the top of the interventricular septum. Where did the diagram go? My laptop is acting like how you people act when I teach you botany. Hmm. Now, the AV bundle, which is the atrioventricular bundle coming from the AV node, it would divide into the right and the left bundle. Okay, it sort of like divides like this. Now, the right and the left bundle give rise to fibers throughout the muscle of the ventricle, that is ventricle musculature. And these fibers, they are known as Purkinje fibers. Now, the Purkinje fibers, along with the left and the right bundle, they are altogether known as the bundle of His. Now, what is so special about this nodal muscle? Okay? So, it is auto-excitable, meaning it can pump and generate potential on its own. It does not require any special stimuli, any nagging, any scolding to do so. It can do it on its own. It generates action potential. Now, the sinoatrial node, it can generate the maximum number of action potential, that is up to 70 to 75 times per minute. The sinoatrial node initiates and maintains the rhythmic contracting activity of the heart. The sinoatrial node is also known as the pacemaker of the heart, because of this only the rhythmic contraction will happen, and the whole process of circulation will keep on going and going until the person is alive. The sinoatrial nerve will work. Now our heart beats normally like 70 to 75 times in a minute. The average of heartbeat per minute is 72 beats. And this 72 beats per minute, like the beating of the heart per minute, is known as the heart rate. Now let us talk about how the whole process of circulation happens. Up till now, do you people have any doubts?
Oh,
Okay, go through your books, read it up till here before the pumping activity, and just like one by one we'll be crossing off things. Like also read that open, close circulation, double circulation, all of that, and tell me if you have any doubts.
Done.
Any doubts?
No.
Okay. Now let us move forward. And what about the others? Did you people read?
Yeah, ma'am.
Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now let us see how the whole shebang happens. Now the right auricle, it receives the deoxygenated blood from the coronary sinus and the two large veins that are known as vena cava. The vena cava is a superior and inferior. So it collects the deoxygenated blood from the body cells and brings it to the right auricle. The left auricle receives the oxygenated blood from the lungs through the two pairs of pulmonary veins. Now always remember that all the arteries are responsible for carrying oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery. All the veins are responsible for carrying deoxygenated blood except pulmonary vein. That's the exception. Now coming on to the cardiac cycle. The word contraction means systole, or the systole means contraction and diastole means relaxation. Now, in the beginning, all the four chambers are at a relaxed state and this is known as joint diastole, meaning none of the chambers are contracting. Then the blood from the pulmonary vein and the vena cava starts filling up the left auricle and the right auricle respectively, meaning the left auricle receives the pulmonary vein, right? It brings it the oxygenated blood from the lungs, whereas the right auricle receives the blood from the vena cava, that is deoxygenated, coming from the body cells, right? Now what will happen? From the auricle the blood will flow to both the ventricles, and then 70% of the ventricles, they get filled up. Now at this particular stage the semilunar walls are closed. Okay, they get closed. Now the sinoatrial node, the SAN, generates an action potential because of which both the atria undergoes simultaneous contraction. This is known as atrial systole. Both the atria would contract together and this is known as what? It is known as atrial systole. Now when the atria or the auricle contracts, it would, just imagine it being squeezed. So the blood flow increases immediately. So this increases the blood flow to the ventricles. Now the rest 30% is filled up because of this increased blood flow. Now the impulse that was being sent by the sinoatrial node, now it goes to the atrioventricular node and the atrioventricular bundles, and then it is transmitted to the whole entire area of the ventricle, to the whole musculature of the ventricle. Then because of this particular property, the ventricular contraction or the ventricular systole takes place. Now as the ventricles, they undergo a systole, meaning they contract, the atria undergoes diastole. See, no two chambers like the atria and the ventricles cannot contract together. One has to contract, the other will relax, vice versa. So now, as the ventricles would contract, the ventricular pressure would increase. Because of this, the tricuspid and the bicuspid or the mitral walls will close. Why? Because the backflow should be prevented, meaning the blood from the ventricles must not go into the auricles. Now, when the pressure in the ventricles it rises, the semilunar walls open. Now, these are present at the aorta, right, and the pulmonary artery. Now, the blood will flow into the pulmonary artery and the aorta, because of which what will happen? It will like sort of go to the places that it is supposed to go. Now the ventricles would relax. This is known as ventricular diastole. And then the ventricular pressure falls, causing the semilunar walls to close. Again, why? Once the blood flows into the pulmonary artery and the aorta, then the semilunar walls will close so that blood should not go back into the ventricles. Now, as the ventricular pressure declines further, the AV walls, which are the tricuspid and the bicuspid wall, they are opened yet again. Again, the blood from the auricles would flow into the ventricles. This is the whole cardiac cycle. And the whole cardiac cycle consists of the systole and the diastole of the auricles and the ventricles. The duration of the whole cardiac cycle in seconds is zero point 0.8 seconds. The heartbeat is 72 times per minute. Now, each ventricle pumps out 70 milliliter of the blood, which is known as the stroke volume. Now, if we multiply the stroke volume into the heartbeat, we'll get cardiac output. On an average, 5 liters of blood is pumped out, or 5040 milliliter, and this is the cardiac output. Okay, so now up till here, you read in the book and tell me if you have any doubts. The cardiac cycle, the whole circulation aspect. Read it. Tell me if there is anything, any doubt, any trouble.
Done.
Any doubts?
No.
Okay, wait. See, I have this slide like prepared, a very short version of the circulation, so that whenever you are forgetting something, you can quickly remember. I'll just show you. It's from class 10th actually, but it will be helpful to you people. Like the basic, when you want to learn about the blood vessel, which is going where, what is doing what. This is, see, the double circulation. Why is it double circulation? Because here the blood flows to the heart twice. The double circulation consists of two things: pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation is the circulation wherein the blood flows between the heart and the lungs, and the systemic circulation is when the blood flows between the heart and the rest of the body. And these two collectively causes the double circulation. Now see, from the body cells, the deoxygenated blood, meaning the CO2 rich blood, is collected by the vena cava and it brings it to the right auricle. From the right auricle, it goes into the right ventricle. Now, from the right ventricle, this deoxygenated blood is carried to the lungs with the help of pulmonary artery. Then, from the lungs, when the blood is oxygenated or made pure, now it is carried by the pulmonary vein to the left auricle. Now, this is oxygenated blood. Then it goes to the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle, the blood goes to the different body cells with the help of aorta. So, this is like the basic structure of how the circulation takes place. Now, these are the vessels. These are some lines about the vessels that are involved. So, vena cava, it is a large vein that brings deoxygenated blood from the body cells to the right auricle of the heart. The pulmonary artery, it is the only artery that would carry deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle to the lungs for purification or for oxygenation. Now we come to the pulmonary vein. Now it is the only vein that will carry the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left auricle. Rest all the veins would carry deoxygenated blood. Last one, that is aorta. It is the largest artery that would carry the oxygenated blood from the left ventricle to the whole body wherever oxygen is needed. Clear? Isn't it so simple and easy to understand?
Yes.
Now do one thing, you note this whole entire thing down. Whenever you people want to revise like quick revision, this is how you can do it. So note it down.
I took screenshot.
Note it down, dear. That will be helpful. See, the screenshots are never looked back upon. That is why I ask you people to note it down. Because once you note it down in your own handwriting, you remember some of it. And when you revise, you remember most of it. That's why I'm asking, okay?
Can you scroll it, ma'am? I didn't write.
Where are you?
I was drawing the like.
Okay, write it.
You can just make it small or something.
Smaller, then how will you be able to see it?
It's okay. Okay, you can scroll. Done. Done.
Okay, everyone's done?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So tell me if you have any doubts or anything.